Hello, this is Stephen Cook live from Wingap, and today we're talking to the Mayor of Botany. Good afternoon to you.
Hello, Stephen. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
Lovely to be with you, and thank you for inviting me onto your program.
That's my pleasure. I'm gonna call myself this is called the grill. So we're going to grill the Mayor with all the hard questions because he requested that he wanted some very tough questions that we had at the ball. And he said, "Can you ask me some very tough questions to me?" He said, and I said, "Well, I would be delighted to." So here we go.
Far away, mate.
Okay, what's going to happen when Randwick and your council merge?
Yes. Well, can I say at the outset, the proposal that's before the community as made by the Minister is not for Randwick and Botany, but rather for Botany and Rockdale, something that the community of Botany opposes strongly. Randwick is proposed currently by the Minister to merge with Waverley and Woollahra. The proposal by Botany Council is to bring Botany together with pretty much all of Randwick, but for some area, and parts of the city of Sydney. And we would be delighted, absolutely delighted, if the Minister was to force amalgamations other than leaving us alone as independent, which is always our preference, that he takes the path of a southeastern Sydney Council of all of Botany and elements of the city of Sydney and parts of Randwick. But I have to say to you, Stephen, we don't know what's going to happen because there is a lot of uncertainty at the moment as I speak to you at the end of May, and really what we are projecting is not an outcome till about mid to late July.
And are you going to challenge this decision in the court?
Well, currently there are a number of proceedings in court by a number of councils for the way in which the government has proceeded down this path. The laws of the state require a process to be undertaken, which I won't discuss this afternoon, and there is some criticism broadly said about those processes. And Botany Council is one of those councils who has challenged elements of the decision-making process and functions of the delegates appointed by the Minister for this proposal, and we are awaiting those decisions to be made. That will guide us for any future direction.
Okay. Do you think it's going to affect the chances of receiving funding from council from Wingap?
Look, this council is committed to supporting community, not least the endeavours of Wingap, always will. That is what sets out our objectives strongly amongst other councils. So I'd like to suggest to you strongly that so long as the ethos of the community of Botany and those who are ultimately elected to lead the community of Botany share in those ways and objectives, Wingap will be strong.
Oh, it's good to hear. Do you think it's going to be better or worse for Wingap and its clients?
Not unlike many other elements within our community, it's my view and that of my elected colleagues that the objectives of Wingap and other community service organisations are better served with either Botany being preserved as an independent organisation, or otherwise, if amalgamation is forced, a better outcome would be with Botany and the Randwick scenario that we have proposed. The common interest of community, and for Wingap particularly, is as between Botany and Randwick, not Botany and Rockdale.
Okay. Who will be the new mayor, and who will and how will they be appointed by election by one of the mayors?
So the Minister, and I'm respectful toward the Minister because ultimately he takes advice, but unfortunately the advice he receives chops and changes on a daily basis. Initially it indicated that councillors and mayors could sit on an interim measure to bring assistance. It's clear from the amalgamations that is forced to date that measure is not being implemented. So administrators have been appointed, and that's what we expect to happen in like fashion with subsequent amalgamations. And ultimately, people will come to be elected either as councillors and then from the councillors a mayor once elections are held, and from what I'm understanding, as late as September 2017, which is a long way away, Stephen.
but that's in 2 years.
Yeah, well, almost 2 years, but which means, well, let's just call it, well, it's 18 months, but that's a long time for a government to be in place without a democratic voice in place to make decisions on behalf of community. You'll have administrators appointed by state government dictating where funding is to be allocated and what priorities of government should be.
But we could have a change of government next year in a couple of years.
We could. So the state government's up for election in 2 and a bit years from now, and
Yes.
look, the way things are going, really, all it's done is set about destroying community, and it didn't have to be this way. It could have done things differently, but I'm hopeful that things done in a different way might bring community back into alignment.
Will this mean that the rates will go up?
I'd like to think not. The state government's position on this has been to maintain a freeze on rates as a moratorium, if you like, for a period of time, pending a transition to a new entity that might be created. But I have to be perfectly frank with you, Stephen. What concerns me is what happens once the moratorium is lifted,
Yes.
because there'll have to be a catch-up period. So, you know, in accordance with CPI or some rise, rates traditionally lift every year by a margin, as must be the case to maintain prices. But if there's going to be a freeze for 3 years, I would expect at the very least for there to be a hike as a catch-up at the end of that period, and then some.
Okay. Will services be the same, like garbage, gardens and streets, sweeping and etc.?
Well, garbage I expect to continue to be collected no matter what the entity. At the end of the day, no government wants to fail because garbage isn't being collected. So let's assume that will continue. Of course it will. This council, as an example on gardens, and I'm glad you've raised the question, gives absolute priority and spends a lot of money maintaining the garden setting that we've established. You know, only on Friday of last week I said to the delegate that since 1984, the City of Botany Bay has planted, would you believe, in the City of Botany Bay, 2 million trees.
Wow.
Now, that comes at a cost. What rate money we receive, we spend on the people. We don't owe any money to the banks. We are debt-free, and we maintain community confidence by that measure at least. Now, any administrator coming in with different priorities might think it's not necessary to spend so much money on gardens and or landscape and start to cut back the measure, and that's the concern that we have.
But if you are going to actually join together with Randwick or whatever council, then which council is actually going to look after the trees and all the plants? So Botany Council, especially around the eastern suburbs like Randwick and Waverley and that.
Look, in any interim measure where we move to an amalgamated point, if that's what the government forces, during the period of administration, that is to say, without an elected body, there is always that danger that there will be a shift in direction in terms of policy on the spend of the public purse to community. Okay. That's always a danger. Where the self-correction arises is at the point of re-election or election of elected people from within community. And the best measure for the people of Botany, dare I suggest for the people of Randwick, is that if an amalgamation is to be forced, it's those two entities broadly coming together in terms of an alignment, policy and contribution to community following an election that are properly aligned and more akin to what I've just discussed with you, say for example, the spend on landscape and on trees and on community.
Another thing you've told me at the board that you do have problems with the Randwick Mayor. So it seems like you don't get on well with the Randwick Mayor. Is there an issue?
No, to the contrary. No, it's not that I don't get on with him. We just agree to disagree about particular matters, and I get on with him marvellously well. I respect his views. I don't agree with them, but I think it's healthy in any democracy that people remain respectful of one another, as I am toward Noel, and I know he is toward me. And he knows I don't agree with his views, and I know he doesn't agree with mine, but that this is a healthy process in a democracy, and here I am speaking to you and communicating with community.
Well, that's good. Can we organise a consultation between the local businesses and the arts and Wingap to see if there's work opportunity for ADA? Yeah, employment enterprise.
Absolutely. The short answer is yes. And I know that Botany Council has participated to that measure in the past and is keen to continue in that measure in whatever form suits Wingate.
Well, I'm Stephen Cook. I'm part of ADE as the mayor heard me say at the ball on a couple of weeks ago.
Did you have a good evening the other occasion?
Oh, it was very good.
Wasn't it?
It was really good. It was,
strong support, good money raised?
Well, yeah. I was very happy to be part of that and meeting all these lovely people and sitting with the mayor at the dinner and having a few drinks and seeing a lot of business people give money to us because we need heaps of money. We need to actually keep going because if we don't keep going, then we could lose a lot of jobs, and this place needs to survive as much as Wingate does. If we get more people like that, if we get more funding like that, we'll be we'll keep the work coming. Okay, thank you for talking to us. I've been speaking with Stan.
Thank you, Stephen. It's been a delight being on your program.
Thank you.
Thank you.